Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, let me tell you about a man named Randy Rhodes. He was born and raised in the north, but he loved the southern way of life, and he'd fight to the death for the southern cause. He marched on down to the fields of cotton, where he met up with General Mosby's gray ghost. The general gave Randall the rank of colonel so he could fight with the brave men in gray. Now Colonel Randall Rhodes fights the bonny blue flag, and that's what Colonel Randall Rhodes brings. He brought fire, he brought freedom, he brought love, he brought a war. And he said, to hell with the stars and stripes, I'm fighting for the stars and bars. And to hell with your war of aggression, I'm fighting for the war of independence. And he'd march on down to the fields of cotton for a southern nation. And the gray ghost fights for the bonny blue flag, and that's what Colonel Randall Rhodes brings. He brought fire, he brought freedom, he brought love, he brought war. And he said, to hell with the stars and stripes, I'm fighting for the stars and bars. And to hell with your war of aggression, I'm fighting for the war of independence.
Yes, we are fighting for the War of Independence. And for that single star behind my back here, we are here tonight with Chris Edwards, author and historian. And first in is Robert Forsyth and Barbara Amons. How you guys doing? Thanks for being here. We are here tonight to talk about his books concerning William Quantrill, Captain Colonel of the Confederate military. He's also was a guerrilla, a lover, a hater, and all the above, but the South really loved him. So we're talking about his volume number 2, which is William Quantrill, What History Does When You Know, years 1863 to 1865. We have some more music, we have some video, and we have questions and answers. So Robert, Barbara, if you have any questions for the author, please type them in the comments, and he will be more than happy to answer those questions. As you know, in the back past, guys, we started off with Quantrill's Raid on Lawrence, Kansas, which to me should be volume 3. Okay, just a hint there, Chris. This will be volume 3, because this one here is more or less all about the end of his life, the attack on Lawrence, his love life, and obviously his death. It's a phenomenal book. It was a great read. And then I find out that he has more books. Yes, he does. He has 4 more books. So here we have volume 1, which we did last week. Volume 1 was simply begins 1862. So it was like he was born, he was a teacher, he joined up the military, and he started his crusade against the Yankees. And that's where that is. We'll discuss the other 2 later. but now we're on volume two. This one here takes us up to his death. And I want to tell you what, the way Chris wrote it at the end had me in tears. In fact, I created two songs from 5 sentences using Suno.com. And Suno, I swear to God, it read his book because it put stuff into that song that I did not tell it about. And we'll play one of those songs later. But again, Chris, thanks for being here. Thanks for allowing me to use my voice in my studio to promote you and your books. Uh, Again, give us a background on who you are, where you are, why you did what you did.
Oh, okay. Well, who I am, I guess that's self explanatory. How I got to it was really, I think maybe the good Lord just kind of led me to it because it would have, I backed into it totally. I was, uh, I was a musician. I was playing in a rock band. I was on the road. And after a couple of years, I decided that wasn't good for my mental or physical well-being. So I went back to Columbia, Missouri, where I live, and my mom gave me a book called his name was, or yeah, Jesse James by William Settle, and I had no idea that Jesse and Frank were guerrillas until I read the book, and I didn't even know there was a Civil War in Missouri, come to think about it, until I read that book. So learning that Frank and Jesse were guerrillas led me to Quantrill, which led me to William Conley, the Kansan who wrote his biography, wrongly, I might add. But anyway, I believed everything that William Conley wrote for probably 10 or 15 years. And then I just kind of said, I probably need to look into this. And so I got it after graduate school. They kind of taught me on how to go about looking at things the right way, and that was to go back to the primary sources. So I went back to the primary sources, and I went to the Kansas State Historical Society and a lot of others and all around Kansas and Missouri, and I found the truth. And ironically, it's in the same box 13 as William Conley. So I have to assume that Conley had the information, but he didn't want to use it. And I also have to assume that subsequent authors like Castle, like Leslie, um, Schultz, that they probably didn't even bother to look at to do any research at all. All of their books are just modeling after what Conley had already said. So, but anyway, that's I found all that new information right there in the primary sources, and academia doesn't want to hear it. So that's too bad. But I'm still getting some interest in it, and I appreciate people reading the book, mainly because we're we're really, in terms of academia, we're really up against woke professors, and they're not teaching the history correctly, and we got to stop this. And so we just got to go up against them and show them, that we have the right information, and ask if they would, expand their environment, their thoughts, so that we can find out what both sides are saying. So anyway,
Well, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Trump just recently held back money from several universities because he considered them woke and that they are not teaching, all the things that properly that they should be teaching the children. So he decided, you know what, you're not going to get any more of our federal money until you start, broadening your horizon and teaching things properly and for everyone, not just a certain aspect of our population.
yeah, I think you're right, and I don't know if he's actually implemented any of that, but he should. I hope he does. I tell you, the woke people, they really are running academia. I've talked to a number of history professors over the course of 4 or 5 years. They're all woke. you can't find anybody who's conservative or will even talk about Confederate or Southern history because it's something that's just censored. You can't do it. You can't talk to them about it.
And they don't want to hear it. I mean, you can show them the facts, and you show them the documentation, and you show them the real history, and they just shut you down. I mean, I've seen interviews with a reporter asking protesters, why are you out here? Why are you protesting this? Why are you protesting that? And about the immigration, whatever. Oh, well, he's got all these people. He's kicking out of the country, and then the guy shows them a graph, and it is blue and red. And said, here's what Obama did during his time frame. Look, he did a whole lot more than what Trump. Oh, well, I want to see where you got those facts. I want to see where you got that from. That can't be. They don't want to hear it.
No.
And it's sad. So hopefully, I'm broadcasting out to 8. Obviously, all my groups are Southern, so they'll all be obviously standing with us. But hopefully, these groups will share them with their friends and so forth, because I'm doing it to 8 groups. I'm doing it to YouTube. And our last video had close to 400 views, which is phenomenal for like a history class kind of broadcast. I just wish that more people would be here when we go live, so we have more of an interaction with the audience.
Sure.
Because I do my due diligence. I do, a couple of days, a week before the actual broadcast, I put the word out, hey, we're going to be doing this on Thursday, 7 o'clock. Please join us. And Barbara, she must have me on speed dial or whatever, because every time I go live, Barbara's right there with us. So I really do appreciate that, Barbara. Robert, Barbara, before we go to the next part, our next conversation here, do you have any questions for the author? And while they're thinking, so you have what, 5 books? Yeah, 5 books, all about Quantrill and Lawrence, Kansas. Have you written any other books, or do you plan to write any more books?
Oh, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I've for the past 5 or 6 months, I'd say, I've been developing a curriculum for, I guess my target audience would be high school and college age kids, that talks about the topics of slavery, about secession, about Emancipation Proclamation, about sectionalism, Reconstruction, all those kind of things. And I've been going through. I have so many books and notes that I've been going through, but I've been putting those in order so that I can have some kind of curriculum, and then I can present that in a entertaining but factual way to that particular target audience. So, yeah, I mean that's taken up most of my time right now. Is just developing that curriculum.
Just 1 second. Response. Some more you see in this on. So Regina Musser is on here. She's one of my clients, and she's saying that she's having some difficulties with the video. And I have 4 devices going here with no problem with the video. So I'm not sure what she's using. I do know sometimes, Regina, in the past when you and I were live, you had some trouble with maintaining stability. Is that what you're having problems with, the integrity of the signal? And are you using a cell phone to watch us? Because sometimes the Wi-Fi strength might not be there, but I can see everything fine here. So unfortunately, it might be on your end, but keep watching and let me know if you're having more problems. Regina is actually from Florida, so she's a good old girl. Barbara, what state are you from? And Robert, what state are you from? Just out of curiosity. Trying to see where all my videos being shown. So I do have several short videos I want to play that I found about you on YouTube. It's amazing, sometimes folks don't realize that when they put something out there, they think it just, eventually fades away, so forth. But depending on the social media, it stays there forever. Barbara says, I've seen that before and just closed it and then opened it up again. Then I closed the other 3 open tabs. So, okay. Oh, okay. So on Facebook. If you may come up, let me show you. Let me show here. Ooh, try and get my. Here's my Facebook here, as you can see the camera. So, Regina, you can see that it's fine there. Now my connection is a direct connect to my modem. So, are you on Wi-Fi or a direct connect? And Barbara says she's from Oregon. So I do have a couple of videos that I found on YouTube that I want to play. I won't probably play all of them because I do try to keep these broadcasts to an hour. But this one here was an interview that you had. Let's see. Play it here.
When I was growing up, I really did not even know that there was a Civil War in Missouri. And I was really surprised later on when I discovered that there were actually battles. Even more shocked to find out that Missouri was 3rd in battles and skirmishes, only behind Virginia and Tennessee. On the night of September 26th, Anderson camped 2.5 miles south of Centralia. Major A.V.E. Johnston of the 39th Mounted Infantry came into Centralia, and he went to some of the citizens and said, "Where'd those guys go?" "Well, they're just outside there camped, but you don't want to go down there." "Why not?" "Because there's like 400 of them there." Johnston did not believe him. So Johnston mounts his command and heads south towards Anderson's camp. There are about 10 guerrillas who Anderson sends north to sort of toll Johnston down. In typical Indian fashion, the guerrillas ride up within a firing distance of the command. They sort of act like they're surprised and turn around and gallop. This gives Anderson enough time to deploy his men in line, and they are dismounted in front of Young's Creek. Johnston's men come in, and they're on a hill looking down, and they see 80 men. Johnston dismounts his men in a single battle line and has them march about 100 yards forward and prepares them to fire a volley at Anderson's men. What Johnston does not know is that Anderson has sent the rest of his men on both flanks of Johnston. And Anderson has told them when they mount and charge that as soon as they break that line, those men on the flanks are to go ahead and charge. Anderson mounts his men going uphill, and the men are laying down on their horses because they had, again, learned from the Indians, you don't want to get shot, you want to get down on your horses. The tendency of soldiers who are firing downhill is to fire high. So as the guerrillas are going uphill at a trot, they wait until the Union soldiers fire one volley. And they know that these are single-shot infield muskets, and they have to reload, which can take up to 30 seconds, 45 seconds. So at that point, the volley goes over the heads of the guerrillas. They put spurs to their horses, and they're on the Union soldiers. Some have bayonets fixed and they're trying to fight. Some are trying to reload. Others have thrown their muskets away and are retreating. According to legend, it was Jesse James who was out front in the guerrilla charge and took on Major Johnston one-on-one and shot him in the head, killed him. Missouri was very important during the Civil War. Missourians were just really split over the issue of being pro-Union and pro-slavery. And this really divided families in half, where the father may be a Union soldier and the son might be in the Confederacy. Missouri was one of those states that ended up on both flags. I think it's important to reenact this battle because it is who we are. It is our history. We own that. And history should never be repressed. It should be studied, and we should learn from our history.
I'm going to say it, and I don't know how Barbara and Regina and others are watching this, but having headphones on, the audio is it's like being in a movie theater, the new kinds where they have all those extra speakers for the surround sound, and the booms. I guess I suppose like a cannon or something. The booms in the background, the horses trotting. I mean, that was your production, right? That was you filming all that stuff.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was doing that to market a reenactment of the Centralia battle, which was, I can't even remember what year that was. I was like, where'd you find that? I didn't even have any gray hair back then. But yeah, it was a marketing video to attract people to come up to the Centralia battlefield and watch this reenactment.
Like I said, I mean, it's just like your books. The quality of it brings you in. It makes part. Barbara says this is an interesting bit of history. This is what something like this is what the young folks need to hear and see and experience, because my grandkids. They got their faces in video games and on their iPads and stuff like that, and the headsets are on, and that's their world. But like I said, with my headphones, like I did, get an upper quality on the headphone, but it's like, wow. You have to experience. It's almost like you're there on the horseback. You're there, in the stalks of corn or wheat, or whatever that is, and the knowledge, the fact that you knew that's how Indians fought. They fought with their horses laying down, which for a horse is very unusual because horses don't like laying down on their sides because of their weight. Because just like an elephant, laying down, it's hard on it because of the weight, and it puts pressure on the heart and the lungs and so forth. But I love that one. I have another one here I want to play. Not that one there. I gotta pull it down. Hold on a second. Here we go.
Historian and singer-songwriter Chris Edwards recently had a rare opportunity to premiere an original dramatic work about a bloody event of the Civil War at the battlefield where it actually took place. But too many individuals are unaware of the pivotal and violently dramatic role Missouri played in America's most important and tragic conflict. How then shall we educate the public? Chris Edwards believes the most effective means of educating the public is through entertainment. By incorporating a variety of communication mediums, including the spoken word, contemporary and traditional music, and photographic visuals, Chris and his artistic collaborators convey the story about how fighting on the Kansas-Missouri border flared into region-wide guerrilla warfare. The result is a vivid stage documentary that shows how Southern guerrilla chief Captain William T. Anderson came to be known as Bloody Bill.
You Federals have just killed 6 of my soldiers, scalped them, and left them on the prairie. I'm too honorable a man to permit any man to be scalped, but I will show you that I can kill men with as much skill and rapidity as anybody. From this time forward, I ask no quarter and give none. Every soldier on whom I put my finger shall die like a dog.
You died like dirty dogs down in the pools of your sickening blood. You find no mercy here. We are the demons and the devil has won.
The centerpiece of the bloody days and nights of Captain Anderson is the massacre of Union troops and the battle at Centralia, Missouri on September 27, 1864. These events involved historical personalities, now legend, Bill Anderson and Frank and Jesse James. The enthusiastic reception to the stage documentary's premiere shows it is battle-tested and ready for performance elsewhere. Visitors gathered for the work's premiere on September 27, 2008, the anniversary of the brief but fierce Centralia fight. Chris Edwards joined narrator and co-scriptwriter Martin Northway, dramatic readers, and the Blood Brother Band to bring the work to a live audience for the first time. The show was boldly successful. It made its own history in the place where history was made. With its well-honed selection of first-person readings drawn directly from historical accounts and original contemporary music, as well as traditional songs, The Bloody Days and Nights of Captain Anderson is history made immediate and accessible. It offers...
So, the production of that, is that somewhere where you can, where a person like myself or those watching can download the entire production, watch all at one time?
Nope. But I do have separate videos here and there of some of the performances that are on YouTube.
Yeah, I
You
got
know, yeah, so that's kind of like, and I'm just one of the herd, okay? But what I want to say is, I wrote that. I wrote the songs. I wrote the dialogue, and the hardest thing was I funded it myself, and I just don't have that. We put the show on 3 times, and I just can't do that anymore. Now I live in Ozark, Missouri, which is 25 miles from Branson, which is the entertainment capital of Missouri, and I'd love to get that down there on stage. And actually, Shepherd of the Hills is down there. I would love for it to become like an annual thing.
Well, I spoke to some people on my end, and
Yeah.
they suggest that the SCV may be interested in it. Unfortunately, I won't go into any details, but about a year or so back, I must have pissed someone off down south because they called up the SCV and said, don't let him join. And they put a black mark on my name, so they won't even talk to me. And I have no idea what I did to piss this person off, and I got no way of removing it. So I've spoke to some other people who are interested, so I'll hit them up again, say, hey, get these videos out to SCV because he wants to do this, and I think, and they're trying right now to reach out to the young folks to get them to join the ranks because their ranks are starting to thin out because the original members are we don't stay young, and they're trying to reinvigorate the youth to embrace their heritage. So I'll get back on that again, see what's going on with that. Barbara says, I'm an Oregon native and once had a neighbor that came from Missouri. She was very sweet and had some chickens and a big garden. She gave me some eggs and I helped her in the garden some. Well, that's nice of you, Barbara. Thank you. And that's what I find about the folks from the South. They're just willing to help each other. And that's why I've embraced the South. I want to get on with the book here a little bit. Make sure I get the right book here. Oops. Get back here. Okay. Towards the end, things are starting to close in on him. And he's starting to see, my words, not yours. I think he's starting to see the writing on the wall. And he's trying to head back towards home. A couple of things that really stand out about him as opposed to, and I mean, by all rights, I should read the competition. I probably will to some degree. glanced through it. But one thing I took notice about his book as opposed to yours, first off, his book is like 4 times the size of yours. But your book, it's well formatted, and it takes up the entire page. Okay, and and the paragraph is formatted perfect. I mean, it's easy reading. Whereas his, um, it doesn't take up the full page. Okay, you see that? And it's very the format. The format is very smaller. The font is smaller, and what he does is the content takes up only a small portion of the page, whereas the sources take up the bulk of it. Like for example, this here is only like 4 or 5 lines, whereas all this is his research material. I like the way you did yours because yours is at the end of the book, and like it should be. But at some point, I mean, that book cost me dearly. It was like $30. It really ticked me off. When I placed the order, it said it would be delivered to me in like 4 days, right? It took 2.5 weeks. And then when I realized I wasn't going to have it in time, I tried canceling it, and they said, no, you can't cancel it.
Codley's book is really 2 books, and I like the way you put that. There is the story, which is in a little bit larger print, but then there's a whole nother story in the footnotes.
Yeah.
And you have to, it's really difficult to read, and then you got to go down there and read all that to make sure you're getting the whole story. Anyway.
So one thing I took notice, and like I said before, I love the way you write it because it makes you almost like a kin to the guy. You feel for him and his men. He was all about making sure his men follow the rules. Only kill those who I tell you to kill. Only burn down what I tell you to burn down. Leave the women alone. No looting. Leave the little boys alone. I guess up to a certain age, because they really aren't like military age kind of problems. And he did that. Now there was another captain in his command who had his own rules, and they didn't always correspond to what Quantrill wanted, and he got told about it. In fact, I like the fact that the one guy actually went and looted this one person's home, even though he was told not to, and Quantrill went and found him and killed him because he went against his rules. So it tells you that he's a man of standards, and he stands by them. And the women got protected. They don't have to worry about being. I like what's the word you use for rape? You used a certain word for women. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day.
I wish I could find.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a word in here.
Oh, yeah, it's ravish.
Yes. So I got the point. I knew what you're trying to say, and it's done correctly. So, and I like the fact that some of the folks stood up for him and gave him a warm place to sleep, and for his men to sleep, and refresh their horses and get new supplies. I mean, this guy had balls. He dressed up in Union uniforms. And his men said, there's a Union outfit up there. We have to go around, right? And he said, no, let's just keep on going. And he rides up there, and he introduced himself as Captain. Captain Clark, right? And says, hey, my man and I were riding a long time. Can we ride with you? And they sat down and they ate together. They joked. They were jovial, and then they got up on the horses and they left. And it wasn't until afterwards like, damn, that was him.
Yeah.
But he did that time and time again. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know in modern warfare, if you get caught in the enemy's uniform, you were shot. You got a trial and you got shot because you were considered a spy, and the rules of engagement don't apply to you because you got caught in our uniform. Correct?
Uh, correct. However, when you read about guerrillas, the woke academic people will suggest to you that all the guerrillas were on the Confederate side. But the Union, there's a book that was put out by, anyway, it's called The Unvanquished, and it's all about Union guerrillas. And they did the same thing. They dressed up in Confederate uniforms and ambushed them and infiltrated the troops and the company. So again, it's just you just get one side of the story. So the Union has just as much blood on their hands as the Confederate people did.
And it makes sense. I mean, you use what tools you have to stay alive.
Yeah.
And to win the battle at the end of the day. And again, I love the fact that you included pictures. That makes it I'm a picture kind of guy. I love seeing the pictures and the maps and so forth. Towards the end of his existence here on life, you and I were talking about it, and I got a song that I actually created using Suno from some of the lines that he said. But Quantrill not only was looking out for the women and the young boys in his conquest of Lawrence, and I'll tell you, before we go here, just so those folks who are watching who not might have seen the previous broadcasts about your books, why did he choose this town specifically?
Which town are you alluding to?
Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence. Okay, sure. Well, Lawrence had a bad reputation beginning all the way back to 1854. So let me just say that a lot of people say that the Civil War started in 1861. No, it started in 1854 on the Missouri-Kansas border. So anyway, Lawrence was founded by New England abolitionists, and they were militants. And they wanted to make sure that Kansas came in as a free state with no slaves. Um, and it gets a lot deeper than that. But anyway, it was, beginning in 1854, they already had fortresses, they had earthworks, they had Sharps rifles, they had a cannon, they had all of that kind of stuff. So it was the capital of the abolitionists that Missourians just absolutely hated. Number two, it was the home of a lot of jayhawkers and redlegs who were perpetrating crimes, terrible crimes, atrocities on Missouri people and burning their towns to the ground. And last but not least, it was the home of Jim Lane, who was a Kansas general and senator of Kansas, who did all the bad stuff and ordered all the bad stuff to happen. So that was the reason why they went there.
Can you explain to the folks what a jayhawker and a red leg is?
Yeah. Yeah. It's confusing, but jayhawkers, that name started really in Bleeding, Kansas, like 1855, 1856. They had the Free State Militia, and they were just known as jayhawkers because, even before the Civil War started, they were raiding into Missouri and stealing slaves and things like that. So they just called them jayhawkers. Now, when the war broke out in 1861, the 7th Kansas Cavalry actually took the name Jayhawker, and that would be Jennison's. Charles Jennison was the colonel, so it was Jennison's Jayhawkers. Now, what happened is Jennison and his Jayhawkers got in so much trouble, they were perpetrating so many atrocities in Missouri that they actually took the 7th Kansas Cavalry and took them out of the department and put them put them in Mississippi. Okay, and they were at the Vicksburg campaign. But here's the deal: Jennison said, "I'm not going over there." Matter of fact, he was court-martialed, but when he got out, he said, "I don't want to go to Mississippi. I want to go back to my old place, and I want to, whoop up on those Missourians." So he actually went back to Kansas, Lawrence, and he started recruiting people for what ultimately became the 15th Kansas Cavalry, which was the Red Legs. Now, the only thing about that is that Red Legs took no orders from anybody. They were totally independent. Jennison and Anthony um, and Montgomery, they just did whatever they wanted to. They didn't have to follow any kind of army. They were just on their own. They were Union guerrillas.
So in that case, then, when it came to rules of law of combat, his men could be put to death because they were not considered, federal troops, right?
Right. But the government protected them. Even there was an attempt to get rid of Red Legs, and I think to a certain extent they did, but then they brought them back as what they called scouts. So it was the same people under another name.
So towards the end of the book, uh, like I was saying earlier, Quantrill not only was mindful and watchful of the women, the girls, the young boys, uh, and the looting and the burning. Uh, he had genuine concern for their safety, and he made sure that his men followed his rules. And towards the end, where they're closing in on him, Quantrill and his men found refuge in this one guy's farmhouse and barn, and they're kind of like enjoying life. They're relaxed. Their guns are off to the side. They're playing some kind of corn game, and they're eating and sleeping and catching up on just some jovial things. Uh, it was raining, so they really weren't expecting any movement from the Union soldiers, and so they only had one guy on lookout, and over the ridge of the hillside comes, I think it was like 40 Union soldiers, and the lookout shouts out, "They're coming! They're coming!" Next thing you know, the Union soldiers are on top of them, and uh, 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 Quantrill blows this whistle, which alerts the men that, hey, the shit's about to hit the fan, guys. And they're all getting on their horses, trying to get on the horses and trying to ride off, into the sunset safely. And they're getting shot up pretty bad. And Quantrill has a brand new horse because one he had was injured and had to be put down. And you could all, when you read about that part in the book, you felt bad for the horse. He and Quantrill had this relationship, like I would with my pet dog or pet cat, and the horse got injured, and I know what it was that they the one shoe was loose, and they took it to the blacksmith to fix the hoof, and something went wrong, and the horse got injured and had to be put down. So this lady gives him a horse of her own to him, and it's a fairly expensive horse. It's of a special breed, but it never was in combat. So the horse wasn't used to the sounds of bullets and bombs and stuff, and being in a combat situation. So when this attack occurred, uh, uh, the horse, uh, got scared and took off and left him behind. So one of his men come up, say, "Get on the back of my horse. We'll get out of here." He said, "No, no, you go, you get going." So even Quantrill at that point could have saved himself just by jumping on the back of the guy's horse, but he was concerned for him that he might slow him down and they might both get hurt. So that his guy takes off, and bullets are flaring, and some more of his men get shot and hurt and killed and taken prisoner. And then this other soldier girl comes up and says, "Get on the back of my horse," and he did, but this time he got shot. Quantrill gets shot in the back, and he falls off the guy's horse, and he tells him to take off. And Quantrill knows he's in bad shape. The bullet hit his spine. He's paralyzed from like the waist down. He got shot a couple more times, and the lieutenant comes up to him with the intention to shoot him in the head because they had no mercy for him and his men. So Quantrill puts his arm up to protect his head from being shot, and the guy shoots off his index finger and thumb, I think.
That's right.
And he goes to shoot him again. He said, "Look, I said, I'm dying. Just let me go. I'm dying." And the officer agreed. The officer walked away. Said, "Take him inside." They took him inside the farmhouse and got him some medical attention. And the doctor, yeah, he's this is it for him. This is curtain call. And in that one page, there were 5 lines that I took that meant something to me because here this man, he's dying. He's still thinking about his men's safety and well-being. His men, snuck in. They want to take him away, but he said, no, the homeowners made a promise to the officer that I'll still be here. And the officer said that if he's gone, he's going to take it out on him. So even at that point, he could have been saved. Who knows? Might have lived the rest of his life as a paralyzed man, but he would not have been, taken a prisoner. But he was still thinking of others. So I took these 5 lines from that book. I used Suno.com, and I created this, actually 2 songs. I'm going to play the one now. I think it turned out really well. Like I said, it's almost like Suno read the book because in this song, there's some details that I didn't put into the description of the song itself. So here it goes.
Said it's only a question of days. Lantern shaking in his fingers, mud on his gray wool sleeves. We'll gather what's left of the boys, find us a white flag and pray. Wind pushed hard through the cottonwoods like it was hurrying us away. It was only a question of days till the gun smoke cleared from our names. Only a question of days till the devil came calling his claim. We were young, we were stubborn, we stayed while the old world faded in flames. It was only a question of days, only a question of days. By the time we came back from the river, he was half gone from this earth. Mouth still trying to form orders, eyes already searching the dirt. We laid him down in the wagon, rain starting to bite through our coats. By sundown his breath had fallen like one more ghost on the road. It was only a question of days till the gun smoke cleared from our names. Only a question of days till the devil came calling his claim. We were young, we were stubborn, we stayed while the old world faded in flames. It was only
Only a question of days. The song talks about rain. It talks about the wagon. Two details that are in your book, but not in what I gave it to create the song from. So I don't know how I did it, but Suno.com, I own the rights to it. So Facebook, if you're watching, the music you hear, I own the rights to it. The videos are created by my guest, Chris Edwards. She owns the rights to that. So it is all for educational purposes. Neither one of us make a dime off these broadcasts. We're getting close to the end here, my friend. The question I have for you, I think maybe to close up here, is this next book is fairly small. This one here is the Suppressed Evidence, Neglected Information about Confederate Colonel William Clark Quantrill. Did you want to do a broadcast about this one, or just wait until I get through this one here?
That one about suppressed evidence, actually everything that's in that book I've used to confirm in the other three books, like What Really Happened and volumes 1 and 2. All that was a manuscript that was just out there. I was really lucky to get a hold of it. I don't know if anybody else has a copy of it, but it was simply confirming a lot of things that I was thinking about Quantrill, and these guys who knew him firsthand were confirming that he was doing things that the Union said he wasn't. So it was sort of confirmation in their letters.
What might make an interesting closure on William Quantrill's life and the men who rode with him. Now, apparently, his marriage to the young lady did not create any children that we are aware of. But as far as his men, it'd be interesting to see, did any of them get married? Did they have any descendants? Where are they at now? What do they think of, their great grandfather's life with Quantrill and so forth? That might make for an interesting book.
Yeah, actually, I belong to an organization called the Quantrill Society. We have a couple of guys whose ancestors fought with Quantrill. Sam Constable. Constable was a guy who rode with Quantrill, and he's in our organization. I think he may not be as old as I am, but anyway, we're both getting up there. But yeah, we've had members in that organizations whose ancestors rode with Quantrill.
That's amazing. The one thing that always intrigues me, and I do a genealogy, and all but two of my clients are from the South, and they all want to know their relationship to a Confederate soldier, or to a guerrilla, or a Jesse James kind of character, and it means a lot to them, the pride there. I had a lady reach out to me last night. I don't have her permission to talk about her, but she reached out to me last night and said, "Hey, could you help me? See if I have any ancestors who fought for the Confederacy." So I said, "Sure." So I took her information, and before you know it, yeah, I found one for her. Right?
Yeah.
And, she hasn't signed up yet, so I'm not sure, if she will. I understand that what I do is a niche that a lot of people, like and don't have really need for it. But she may come back. But she was really looking for that Confederate connection,
right?
And I found it for her. It was her third great grandfather. He actually, the very first one that I found, where he was a sixth. Oh, hold on a second. I can tell you here in a second. Where's her name at? Here we go. There's actually a newspaper article too that I found, and I shared it with her. Here it is. Yeah. The 6th Virginia Regiment Railroad Guards. And
Mm.
says, we are able to give some account this morning of Colonel Wilkinson's regiment of railroad guards who had been performing a comparatively dangerous and arduous duty for some time without receiving much credit. The regiment is composed of 15 companies, blah, 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 blah. And he happens to be a first lieutenant of the one company. And it essentially was protecting the railroads for West Virginia. And I actually have a picture of him. Um, she was very impressed. I actually also, Ancestry. I can show the picture. I'm going to see what this guy's name is here, but uh, Ancestry has part of the service, or they'll enhance the photos, but sometimes it ruins it. But I started using Chat GPT, and for my birthday, I got for myself. I signed up and got the first month free, and then it's $20 afterwards. Let's see. Look at that. Oh, see, that's him here.
Wow.
But they have the people in the South. They want to know if their connections to these individuals, and especially there's one guy who wants to know if he's related to Jesse James.
Right.
You gotta give it to them. They love their they love their heritage, and they want to be part of it, and they obviously celebrate it whenever they can to the reenactments and so forth. And the books you wrote, which I have here, um, you know, just goes to show that there is a niche for what you do. Now, besides these books here, have you written anything else
Regarding Quantrill?
regarding anything that you think I might be interested in buying for myself to add to my library?
Well, the other books that I don't know if I would say I'd recommend, but the other books that I know of are going to be exactly like Conley's book. So that would be Schultz, Ed Leslie, Albert Caskell. It's just the same old stuff over and over again.
Okay, so these are the only books that you have actually written, other than what you're working on for the high school kids.
Right. And again, I'm coming up with a curriculum for high school and college age kids about actually just Southern history. I mean, the truth about it.
Now, which schools would you? Obviously, I would assume Southern schools would be more open to it. But do you have school or schools right now that you have intention to go? Hey, I got this curriculum. I got a degree. I would love to come in and teach to your students.
Well, I'm 0 for 3. So let's see. Just a couple of months ago, I talked to the history departments at Drury College in Springfield, Columbia College in Columbia, Missouri, and University of Missouri, where I got my degree. And they all said, no, thank you.
Well, okay, so we know colleges, universities, for the most part, are woke. They don't want to know about history, and especially don't want to know about Southern history. Why wouldn't you go to a high school, junior high? Get them young.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get in because the education system is extremely liberal and woke, even really down here. I mean, they are very sheltered, and all you got to do is say Confederate or South, and that's like a pejorative word, you know.
I took notice of that with Chat GPT. I learned how to get around it. I wanted to get the pictures of me in a Confederate uniform, right? and I used the word Confederate, and it says that crosses our guidelines that we can't do that. So then I used CSA. Can you put this image of me in a CSA colonel's uniform? Boom, there it was, right? And then I had this other picture of Regina's uncles back in like the 50s. They're leaning up against the car, and he has his shirt off. And the guy's well built. I mean, he's got muscles. He's got the abs here. And if you didn't look twice, you'd think it was a woman with her top off. So I asked ChatGPT, could you colorize this image? It came across with that guy goes against our guidelines of sexual and exploitation of, and I got into an argument with this computer and I lost.
I believe that.
So Billy Penny comes in at the end. Billy, you're all but at the end of our show. We're here talking to Chris Edwards. He is the author of 5 books, all about William Quantrill. You can find his books on Amazon. Billy, if you really want to, I really would love to have you. When the show ends, you wait like a minute or two and catch it on the rerun. And I think you'll like what you see. It's about William Quantrill. It's a Confederate guerrilla and his exploitations into Lawrence, Kansas, and about his life and his death. And it's well written. Had some video music and some video production that Chris himself had created. So please, Billy, at the end here, just give it a minute or two and watch the rerun, okay? Also, if you're interested, I had some bookmarks made. On the one side are 5 of his books, and on the flip side is his other book with his pretty picture. There it is. And a little biography about him. If you're interested, I have some here. I will send one to you for free. No posters, nothing. Just get out for you. So a way of seeing his books. Just message me and I'll ask for your address and I'll get it sent out to you guys. With that, we came to an end here. Chris, you have anything here at the end that you want to bring up or talk about that we might have missed?
No, Randall, this is fantastic. I appreciate your support. It's fantastic, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Yep, I'll start reading this. Start reading the next book, the little thin one, and if it makes sense to do a broadcast, we'll do a broadcast about that. Otherwise, we're going to end this with this other song I wrote about the death of William Quantrill. We'll play for a little bit. We'll go black. We'll play for some more. That way it gives you guys any time to ask any question at the end. And then we'll just close it out for the night. So here it is. As you said, play. Boom.
He said it's only a question, only a question of days.
Take care, Barbara.
Lantern shaking in his fingers, mud on his gray wool sleeves. We'll gather what's left of the boys.
Take care, Chris.
Find us a white flag and pray. Wind pushed hard through the cottonwoods, like it was hurrying us away. It was only a question of days till the gun smoke cleared from our names. Only a question of days till the devil came.
Thanks for joining me, guys.
calling his
Catch
claim.
me in a couple of weeks for our next broadcast with Chris Edwards.
We were stubborn,
Take care.
we stayed while the old world By the time we came back from the river, he was half gone from this earth, mouth still trying to form orders, eyes already searching the dirt. We laid him down in the